Welcome, everybody. Today, I'm talking with Judith Wyder, a very successful female orienteer and also trail running champion that has been present on the orienteering tables for a very long time, placing in top results in both World Orienteering Champs, European Orienteering Champs, individual races, relay races, all over the place. So I'm super happy that finally we are able to get together and chat a little bit. And we are going to be talking about several very interesting areas, not just orienteering. So hopefully this is going to be interesting and inspiring to many of you listening. We're going to go through a bit of an orienteering journey. Then we're going to talk about the switch from orienteering to trail running and what was the idea behind this and the motivation behind this as well. And as the last part, I also want to touch on the subject of Judith's company and what she's doing outside of orienteering, because I'm thinking that maybe it will be inspiring for the young runners, but also current elite runners, people somewhere between 20 and 35 years old, as an idea of possibly what you can be doing after your orienteering journey is over, which, time doesn't wait for anybody. So it will get to all of us eventually. For some of us, it's already there. So welcome to the channel, Judith.
Hi, and thanks for having me.
All right. So as I said, let's start with orienteering. I want to begin softly with how orienteering journey began for you. When did you start? How did it happen? Who pulled you into orienteering world? And then let's fast forward to the results of your most challenging, probably, but also most successful years in orienteering.
Yes, so I'm actually a normal orienteer, probably, because I got into orienteering with my family. My parents both do orienteering. My siblings, they were already into orienteering. So I actually came in contact really early. People say that I was doing my first orienteering by myself at the age of 7 or so. So yeah, quite early. And yeah, we just went for orienteering every weekend. There was no topic about that in summertime, kind of. It was hiking or orienteering, or my other hobbies, actually. But kind of the weekends were fixed with orienteering. Before I kind of like decided doing orienteering by myself, actually not earlier than in the age of 20.
Interesting. So you're saying that before the age of 20, you were like doing orienteering, but it was rather a family exercise, family time, spending time together, rather than your individual goal.
Yeah, actually, yes, because I mean, it was always so nice to be on these orienteering competitions. You had lots of friends, you could like chat with them. Of course, you raced, but the racing part, it was just a small part of it. And actually, I went to the first European Orienteering Championships, Youth Orienteering Championships as well, in the age of 16. But it kind of was more about like having fun there and go and play your game than really being racing and really want to achieve something. So yeah, it was just going on with this until I got like grown up and adult, actually.
This is very interesting because I have been training Polish Junior Orienteering Team for many years, and I think that this might be inspiring for some of them, because I think that the group that goes to European Youth Orienteering Champs, then later on World Junior Orienteering Champs, I guess it's divided between the people that are treating it already very seriously and people that actually go there to have fun. And it's good to hear from a top athlete like yourself that it's okay to be the latter as well. You don't have to be super professional from 16 years old. You can actually still have a lot of fun and enjoy orienteering to the fullest and not aiming for those top places, because you still have time to achieve this.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, of course, for me, when I stood at the starting line, I wanted to achieve or to do as good as I can at that day.
Right.
But I had so many other like hobbies. I was playing the violin, I was dancing ballet. I had lots of things at school as well. So kind of like orienteering was really important, but I didn't do the decision I want to be a pro athlete until I was 20. So it's kind of maybe this change or the different thing. But probably, yeah, I mean, the days have been changing. So of course you need to be a bit more serious earlier. But actually, as an orienteer, you don't have to be the best at the age of 20. You can be later and you can still be one of the greatest athletes in the orienteering scene. So I think, yeah, time is not rushing. And the most important thing is about enjoying what you're doing, and then you will be good at it as well.
Is there anything that made you go into being an orienteering pro? Do you remember what is the deciding factor for you?
Yeah, so it was actually about having friends and meeting people, mostly because of that, because I was doing lots of different sports. As I said, I did ballet, I did cross-country skiing, ski orienteering, but in orienteering, it was always like the most friendly environment. That's like really the sportive environment, which gives you the opportunity to get better, but still not to have to prove something. And that was just like the feeling I had, that I want to do and go as far as I can and see what I can do in this sport. But it's not that you have to be the best at the age of 20, because I had some rough years until 23. Because I was like getting a woman, changing, my body was changing and everything, but I didn't have to prove it there. I just had to do as good as possible, and I got this time, and I had my friends there, which helped me going through these years, and that made me to a good athlete in the end.
Yeah, awesome. So let's move to those years where you were already close to the top or reaching even for those gold medals, individual gold medals. So do you remember your first good year in the elite class? Which one would you say it was?
Yeah, I mean, it must be France with the World Championships in La Fecla. Yeah, I mean, I won my first individual medal there on the middle distance, which was like a technically crazy race. We were close to the medal in the relay too, actually, until almost the last controls. So yeah, I think these championships, they should, I wasn't probably on the level of my fitness of today yet, but I just got everything together, and it showed me that in orienteering, everything is possible. And yeah, that was kind of like my start to start believing in myself and my ability as well.
Yeah. And then 3 years later, was it? Yeah, it was 3 years later, you were able to win the sprint. And do you remember what was, if there is anything special about this year, anything about your training, your preparation for the competition that allowed you to get to this top position in the world?
Yeah, I mean, I had some years being a senior by that time. I mean,
True. Yeah.
I was not new to the scene. I was
Yeah, you were 26 years old, right? So already
yeah,
like 5 years in the elite class and several years in the juniors as well.
exactly. So I had a few years, which I had good places as well, and really good World Cups, for example. But then, like, it was really special for me to race in Venice, actually. Coming from Switzerland, Venice is not too far away, so I had lots of friends there, also at the long distance then. And I had a great European Championships already before that. I felt like stronger physically and put it together also technically, which was really cool. I was working a lot with Andrea Binkeli, a mental coach from, or like a psychologist from Switzerland. She helped me a lot to get better, to be more with yourself, with your orienteering. And then, of course, with a better physical shape. And this was like going really good all that year. And I mean, it's easy to say now, but probably doing like good races almost at every start you go, it gives you, of course, a calmness as well, but it gives you also the pressure. So I was the team leader. I needed to be like the one who does the medals in the female team. But on the other hand, I knew that I have the ability. So it kind of was a game between these thoughts. But luckily, with working together with Andrea, it in the end it worked out to be like, yeah, just on the best mood at these World Championships.
You've mentioned working with someone that was helping you not only physically but also mentally. How important do you think that mental work is for maybe sports in general, but specifically orienteering as well?
So, I mean, orienteering, it's not about only running. So, of course, the mental part is an important part, but I think also in the other parts, because as an athlete, you always need to be at your best kind of every day, but also in competitions. And that's quite hard for your mental health. It takes a lot of energy, and to get help by someone who gives you tools or you find tools, that's kind of the important thing I think. And that's why I think it's really important for me nowadays. I'm not working as close anymore with someone, but the tools I got back then, they're still useful these days.
Can you mention some of those tools, like be specific about them?
That's a hard question, actually, because I mean, it's always some like really private things. For example, finding the calmness in a situation which is not working the way you want to. For example, how to react in a mistake to not grow the mistake as big as before, because I always had like an amazing race except for one control. And yeah, this destroyed, of course, top results. So to find like to really be sure about like how to react in which feeling, that was kind of a we were working about, or also being the one who has to be the team leader. I didn't feel as a team leader, but kind of was because of my results. So how do I handle this? How do I handle that together with a team? Like things like that. It's like really, it's hard to tell like, really exact what you're doing with it, but it's just also a lot of talks who help you to find your calmness and yeah, make you like really prepared for the situation itself.
Okay. So generally from what I'm hearing is that there wasn't really anything special about this particular year, but you were just consistent with your training and you simply were slowly getting better and better with passing years. And this year was just a good time, a good moment, and you were able to get to the top. But I think that it's also very important to underline something that you said as well and make it sound right. So you said that before that you already had many very good successful races, and I want to emphasize this because many runners, they have this goal in their head that, you know, I want to be the winner of the World Orienteering Champs, but there's like this is the top of the mountain, and there isn't much room at the top of the mountain. That's just how it is. But I still think that many very good runners exist in the sport, and they just are not getting lucky enough sometimes to get to this, you know, very, very top gold medal position during the World Orienteering Champs, but still have amazing results during other times of the year, during other years of their career. And I think it's like, I guess what I'm trying to say is be proud of it, you know. If somebody from this circle is watching this, I think it's nothing to be ashamed of.
No, of course not. And I mean, of course, for example, for myself, I always wanted to win a long distance in a world championship. I didn't. I was thinking about continuing my career just because of that, or go back to Flims to run the long distance, for example.
Interesting.
Because I know I would be able to be decent good on a world championships nowadays also. But on the other hand, also to just be like happy with what you have done. And to look back at the career, which has been really colorful, lots of up and downs, it's just cool. I mean, yeah, I had amazing years. I have a medal at World Championships. You have to be lucky to win gold as well. And you can't believe in luck all the time. I mean, you can do the best race and you're not winning gold. So yeah,
true.
Someone else was better.
Although I would say that for many runners, you have to be lucky. For very few runners, you just have to be super good, because there are people that can consistently prove that they are able to win gold medals, right? There was Thierry was one of those people, Simone Nigli, of course. Nowadays, I think that Kasper Fosser is the guy that is like has been proving for several years that he's very consistent and very close to the top. So there is like a handful of people that can do it consistently. For the rest, you need a bit of luck. True, I agree with this.
Yeah, I still think you can't, like, for example, with Fosser, of course he is consistent, and I was consistent too, actually. I was top 3 in the World Cup as well over several years. But on the other hand, you have always other competitors who are close to the same level.
Yeah.
And at one day, it's, for example, Matthias Gibert who is the faster, and one day it's Fosser. And if it's the World Champs or if it's a World Cup, it's kind of sometimes also luck that day Fosser took the right route choice and he saw it and the other didn't. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's not about like luck in itself, but just like you can't change the other's race. So if they do like if the best other athletes do the best race that day, sometimes you just have to be happy with your race too.
Exactly. Okay, so let's take a step forward then. And at which point in time did you start thinking about doing the trail races professionally, like you were doing orienteering? Was it like it was the smooth transition and you were doing both at the same time, or was like at some point in time you decided, okay, I have to stop orienteering and I have to move to the trail because they do not connect very well together? How was it for you?
Yeah, for me, it was actually that I stopped with orienteering and started to do more trail races. I always wanted to do more trail races during my orienteering career, but I had to accept that I'm probably not the one athlete who can compete every weekend and is able to do longer races while still want to focus on sprint, for example. So for me, I love doing orienteering the fullest. I got pregnant in 2017. And for me, I still wanted to do another season. I felt like really happy to be back 2018. But then it kind of like was enough. I felt that orienteering is just not sure anymore for the travels and for like the new terrains as I was before. But I still had this like, I wanted to find out how I can do physically and where I can go with my IT on trail races. So I started on a few races in the end of 2018. And yeah, in the start of 2019, there were just like some few races I did in Italy, and of course also Sierre-Zinal, which were like going great, and it felt so natural to just run longer distances. It was just fun. I was not aiming for a new career, actually. I was aiming for seeing how far I can go with my physical shape or physical fitness.
Interesting. So it wasn't a career goal, like next career goal. It was more like, I want to challenge myself. I want to test myself, right? I think like I've already talked with many runners over here, and I find it a common thing among many of the ones that are very near to the top. You simply like to challenge yourself. You like to explore the limits of your abilities. And I feel like, this is a logical thing because this makes you want to push as hard as possible in all the areas, right? So I think this is the champion's mentality.
I don't know. Probably yes. But it's just like I mean, it's too easy to just accept how life is going at the moment. I mean, there would of course be easier things than trying to be a pro trail runner, being a mother of two girls, being self-employed, and kind of like having lots of different things, but still somehow it brings quite a lot of color into my life and our lives. And probably it's because of that we're still keeping going in this direction.
Do you go to orienteering competitions with your family still?
Yeah, I'm a bit bad at that. No, but actually they're quite small still. They're 3 and 6 years old, which is quite small. But this year we have been to Swiss a week, to the World Championships. Of course, we needed to see all these awesome athletes and cheer for them.
Yeah.
And we were at one national, as a Swiss national weekend also, as well. So for sure, we will be back more in the next few years. But for the moment, I'm also happy to just be somewhere in the mountains if we are not having any races in trail running.
And I think you're traveling a lot with the trail races, right? What was the most exotic place, the most exotic race you've been to?
So yeah, it depends on what you're thinking about when you're saying a lot. Actually, I haven't been traveling that much before. This year has been a bit more in the last like few months. But normally for me, trail running needs to be like really close to my home, to Switzerland, France, in Austria. So mostly around my place in Switzerland as well. But this year I traveled to US for 2 races. That was kind of furthest I got in with trail running, which was amazing. For example, in Pikes Peak, a race up to 4,300 meter.
Yeah.
Quite intense, quite a big challenge, but it was really fun to experience that. You will never experience that in orienteering. So it's kind of a new thing, a new level for me. But also next year, I'm looking forward to do mostly races around Switzerland. There would be amazing races further away, but with 2 girls at home, school and everything, it's just not possible. So
Yeah.
I'm happy to stay around Switzerland.
It makes sense. It makes sense. I understand completely. So let's talk a little bit about your company and where the idea for this came from and how it all started.
So Endurance, it's called Endurance GmbH. It's already kind of 7 years old, actually, I think. We started as a club together with my husband. We had this idea to do trail running weekends, to take out people to the mountains, hobby athletes who are not really familiar with the terrain, with the mountains, who need more support to choose their routes and to tell them or show them how we go out into the mountains without danger. And so we started with a few weekends every year, guiding them mostly with like 20 people kind of, and with 2 or 3 guided groups. Nowadays, we do have these weekends. We have 1 week in Sardinia as well, with mostly trail running and some mobility, some yoga at some point, strength training. So actually, it's mostly because my husband, he is a Swiss athletic mountain running coach from the national team as well. So he has quite a big background in trail running too. And we want to like show our passion to hobby athletes, But actually, we started to do more youth work as well. So for the youth trail running scene in Switzerland, to start like trail camps here as well. And that's kind of even more fun to do that as well. And then the second thing is we do coachings for athletes who want to go on with trail running to do better on road races or simply start running. And I'm also a cross-country ski teacher, so we do a cross-country ski weekend in winter too. So it's kind of like various things, but yeah, it's mostly about bringing out people to the mountains, to the trails, to the tracks, and show them how the beauty of the nature.
Yeah, I love it. Who is it? Who is it for? If like, because from what you're saying, it may sound like you have to be already a performing athlete to be able to join one of the camps or retreats to the forest, but I suspect that's not true. So who is it for? Who can join an adventure like this?
So the normal camps, they're actually for everyone. You of course you need to be able to run an hour 30 in a kind of decent pace, but it's like kind of slow pace. And you need to be like passionate about mountains and you want to go out and explore together with other people. But else it's like everybody. We're hosted in different places in Switzerland. So mostly, yeah, just fun people to be around and have fun out there.
I'm looking at the website right now, but I don't see the English version of it. Is there an English version of it? Maybe I just don't know where to click for it.
No, there is no English version actually. So we're kind of focusing on the German hard mostly in Switzerland, but of course also some German people. It's not, we would definitely send out an English information if you would be keen to join. We would also speak English if needed, but it's not like the main focus to focus on other countries at the moment. We have been talking with Sweden, with other countries to do something together, but we always came back to just like working with the Swiss German or German hard at the moment.
I see. Okay. So this is like because of the focus is on the people that probably live in Switzerland and close by. This is why it is what it is. I have to say that the pictures though look stunning on the website, and I love mountains myself as well. And whenever I look at the views like this, I'm going to pack my backpack and leave. That's what I feel.
Mean, it's quite easy to do nice photos or to take nice photos in Switzerland, mostly in autumn or spring.
So you've mentioned at the very beginning that you are self-employed, and is like the business that you're running enough to sustain you, and I guess your husband is working as well in some capacity, but you're able to live comfortably with the company, and it can be a lifestyle that other people can pursue as well, and be content in terms of, I guess the financial aspect of the situation.
So actually, endurance is a small part of my whole salary. We could actually push it more, so we could do more. We would have more work with endurance if I would have more time. But since I'm still as an active as an athlete, I do have sponsorships or partnerships with brands. Some of them I've already had during my orienteering career, which have supported me throughout all my years with pregnancy and injury and fitness. So yeah, this is kind of my main my main living. They're making my living with the sponsorships, but endurance sure be the main thing to go on after my career, probably also after being in a trail running athlete. And yeah, we do have actually quite equal salary, both my husband and I, so we can like both are working, me as an athlete with sponsorships and endurance, and him with endurance, but also as a coach with Swiss Athletics and running coach as well.
Are you also doing some public speaking presentations?
Yeah, I love to do that actually. It's really fun. Mostly with some bigger companies. Yeah, and it's always really interesting what they want to talk about, what they want to hear, kind of like what I can bring into their topics. And yeah, there have been lots of fun talks, presentations, setups, which I really love to do actually. Also with this, at the moment I have to hold back a bit because I'm not able to do more than a certain amount of things. But I definitely want to do more with this, or more of these after my racing time.
Yeah, I thought that you might be liking this and you might be good at it, because I feel like you have this energy about you that would make you a good speaker.
Thanks. I don't know. No, but it's fun. I mean, there's so many things you can compare with in like with sports and being like for example a CEO. And yeah, I mean, as an athlete you have to do certain things, as a CEO you have to do certain things, and probably these things can be compared quite well. So it's kind of fun to find these like these similarities and to talk about that.
Yeah, true, exactly. Especially when, you also have this experience of being the leader of the team, and I think that places you like very close to actually business leaders, because it's all really about inspiring people to do the things that sometimes might be just hard.
And I mean, also, of course, setbacks are a lot of like they want to always talk about setbacks as well. I've had a stroke in 2020 and injury after that. So, of course, you have to like talk about that as well. But bringing into my passion to the sport and to movement, this kind of also what I mean, they will for sure have setbacks as well, but if they are passionate about what they are doing, they will for sure get like good results in the end. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that reminds me of one of the stories. There is a guy I like watching quite a lot. He's called Eric Edmeets, and he actually teaches lots of different things. He has companies that teach public speaking. He has a company that teaches business development. He also has a company that teaches healthy eating. So lots of different areas, and he's passionate about all of them. And I remember one time during one of his presentations, he was telling a story about how his luggage. He was traveling with his wife. I think they were coming home from somewhere, and their luggage got stolen. And they lost their phones, their laptops, and lots of other valuable things. So it seemed like a terrible disaster. But because Eric is a public speaker, and in his public speaking, he very often uses different kinds of stories that he likes to tell. He said that at this very emotional, very difficult moment, when normally you would get simply angry and maybe a little bit devastated, maybe a little bit depressed, he thought to himself, wait, I'm in a story. What would a hero of the story do to make this story amazing? And with this way of thinking, he was able to transform how he perceived the reality around him, and actually make the most out of it, whatever was possible. And eventually he said that he and his wife just decided to enjoy their time off the electronic devices for a while, and explore other avenues that normally are not available to you because you're spending time with your nose in the phone or in the laptop all the time. And I feel like this is something that we all should be able to tap maybe into from time to time, to realize that sometimes we are just somewhere in the story and the setbacks are setbacks, but what counts is how you react to them, and whether you come back on the other side stronger or not.
Yeah, really true. It's a good story.
Yeah. Do you miss orienteering?
I was thinking a lot about that this summer since the World Championships were held in Switzerland. And yes, I love orienteering. Orienteering is a beautiful sport. It's so much more than just orienteering and running, the reading map. It's kind of like just this, feeling with orienteering. So of course, yes, I kind of miss it, but I'm not missing anything of racing and traveling, training for it. So no, I'm like so happy with all my decisions I have made in orienteering, that I was able to do my race years, but also that I was able to just say, no, it's enough, and I'm happy with it. And actually, being to still want to do orienteering nowadays, it would be really hard for me. Traveling would not work anymore, or it would be too hard for me. Also, doing orienteering trainings the nights here in Switzerland, I'm not missing it. Night orienteering is not my favorite thing. So yeah, I'm kind of happy. I just can go and stick out running with friends who do running or track things, and just meet orienteers by time, but not need to travel and to race orienteering anymore. Long story short, no, I'm really, orienteering is beautiful, but I'm just not missing it.
Oh, I wasn't suggesting that you made a bad decision or that maybe you should come back to orienteering, but I feel like there is a little bit of like of the like I don't know the right English word, I guess. I mean, I know it, but I don't remember it. But like it's like a romantic love towards orienteering, that you feel like this is a great sport, and these were awesome years that you spent doing it.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely, for example, be happy if my kids would love orienteering. I mean, orienteering is a perfect school for life. And it's a perfect environment to be in. And if they would love orienteering, I would be totally fine with that. Of course, I would be fine with other things too, but kind of like, yeah, it's a good lesson to bring it into your life.
Okay, so last two questions. One about something that you've just said. You said that orienteering is a great school of life. What does orienteering teach people, in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, life is a lot about decisions. Taking a decision in a direction, you have always to do these decisions, whether it's which school you go for, what food you eat, to which transport, or how you're gonna transport yourself from A to B. And orienteering kind of is the same. You need to do decisions all the time. Which route choice, how you do your training, whether it's good to do another orienteering training, kind of like all these small decisions during an orienteering race. It's kind of life. You can see it as a life. You have to think in circles all the time about where to go, how to react, and then again restart your decision making. So yeah, for me, this is kind of orienteering shows or helps you to learn to accept decisions probably, and to work with them, and maybe to take them, but then also to be able to change them in some other ways if you maybe decided it's not the best choice.
Yeah. And I personally think, and I'm sure if I would pull your tongue, you would be able to say like 10 more things that orienteering can teach you. But I will add one that recently came to my mind when I was thinking about it. I think that nowadays many parents are trying to raise their children in a kind of like a bubble where everything is as good as possible. We're trying to make the world perfect for our children, which kind of prevents them from failing too many times, which I think it's not really great, because if you're not failing, you're not learning how to deal with those setbacks. And in orienteering, because it's such a difficult sport, and because it's so hard to make this perfect race, it's almost like failure after failure, and you get those wonderful races maybe once or twice or 3 times per season if you're good enough, right? So I think this gives you plenty of opportunities to actually learn from your mistakes and learn how to deal with those not so perfect races, and still search for motivation and strength to power through and keep training, keep evolving, keep learning, keep getting better.
Thankful for what is already working great and to go on with that. Yeah.
All right. Last question I have for you. The question that I ask, or try to ask, if I do not forget it, to all the people. So if you can move a few years into the past and stay in your orienteering mindset, what do you think, in your opinion, is the most important orienteering skill of a runner?
It's a hard question. I don't know. I think there is not this one and only thing. For me, probably it has been this kind of like bringing speed and technique together. Because you could be maybe you have to be so fast. So we are not talking about like slow athletes or the ones who have to work on speed, but kind of like you don't need to be the one winning 3,000 meter on track. But if you bring your skills together, you will for sure be one among the best, depending on the terrain. So for me, this has been quite an important ability to make another step towards the top. And yeah, probably also to just like understand a terrain, understand the really specific terrain, and use this for yourself in decision making.
Makes sense. Thank you so much, Judith. Judith. I was supposed to call you Judith. Thank you so much for joining. I think this has been a very interesting time we've spent together, and hopefully the people watching will also appreciate this. I know that you're busy and you're a mother of 2 children that are at an age that requires a lot of time from you. So I very appreciate you finding the time to talking with me. I wish you all the best with your future career. And I'm super happy to hear that you're still going strong and challenging yourself to try to find your limits, even when theoretically, at the age of 35, it's not that easy to do it anymore. But there are plenty of examples that can be inspiring given to you. So hopefully it's all going to be on the upside in the future as well.
Thanks for having me, and yeah, wish you a wonderful evening.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.